I truly believe that the path to change comes from awareness. That awareness alone can begin to create the transformation. To do their part for the new green economy, General Motors introduced a new line of electric vehicles. When the Chevy Volt was ready for release, I attended their press conference.
So these electric vehicles are ready for public consumption, and we're ready with the infrastructure, with the rates, with the communications.
I am extremely grateful to be here today, and in fact this is a chance for me to say thank you more formally. The Chevy Volt is upstairs. We'll be able to take a look at it. We got about 1,000 photos.
Yeah.
Is it a plug?
It's as simple as that.
The batteries are in the trunk?
No, the battery in this particular design is a T-shape right down the center and across the back seat area. Because everybody thought we killed the electric vehicle. No, we didn't. It's alive and well.
So what's charging the batteries right now? What's the source of
well,
electricity?
here. It's coming from the building.
I mean, is it, what's our mix of power?
Oh, actually Lansing feeds the building.
What's that?
Lansing feeds power to the building. So I don't know.
They're,
I bet you they're a bit of coal. Well, they're heavy on natural gas, aren't they?
right now the car's charging off of your grid.
Right. It would be charging off our grid, which is about 95% coal.
How long do you think it'll be before there's a solar and wind powered grid?
Oh, golly.
To suggest that all of the power used for these cars will be generated from wind and solar in the very near future would not be correct. In fact, we're talking about charging these up at night, so there won't be any solar at that time. So we're down to wind, and very often at night the wind does fall off. So
I don't think coal is bad. The what?
A big battle. Mountaintop removal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's got lovely BTUs. It's got lovely
Very
energy
dense,
value.
Yeah.
How do you burn it more cleanly? I mean, do you see natural gas getting bashed?
we will be delivering power based on natural gas very shortly. And even with that that mix, we intend to use biofuels if we can.
You got any
Oh, the environmental groups are extremely supportive.
We did install the state's largest solar array at my company, the Board of Water and Light. It's just down the street from here, a few miles, if you want to take a look at it. What outfit are you with?
New World Media. We're doing a segment on the renewable energy.
Oh, excuse me, I gotta go for a second, but
thanks.
thanks.
I'm in a strange position. I'm against our addiction to fossil fuels and have long been a fan of green energy. But everywhere I encountered green energy, it wasn't what it seemed.
This is like a perpetual energy battery.
And where do you get the hydrogen from?
The hydrogen, hydrogen is sourced from any hydrocarbon material. So you can get it from natural gas, you can get it from any petroleum or oil-based product.
Founder of Tesla, when he announced his Gigafactory battery plant, he said it would power itself with wind and solar energy.
Through a combination of geothermal, wind, and solar, it will produce all the energy that it needs.
But in fact, it has lines connecting it to the same electrical grid that we're all connected to. Electric cars, wind turbines, and solar panels use rare earth metals. And in fact, the rare earth mine is right up the street from here. In mining these deep deposits, about 90% of what they pull up out of the ground contains uranium, thorium, and low level of other radionuclides. Radioactive waste that has to be disposed of somehow. They kind of turn it into a paste and spread it over the desert floor.
Well, that's good for the desert, right?
Yeah, the desert loves that. Tesla's electric cars are built with aluminum, which uses 8 times more energy to manufacture than steel. They use lithium, which also rely on toxic mining, and even more graphite, which is one of the rarest forms of carbon. In fact, the investors wanted to open several new graphite mines after Tesla announced the Gigafactory.
Concerned Scientists has become the union of concerned salesmen, having taken millions not for science, but to create markets for electric cars. The Sierra Club sells electric cars and solar panels right from their website.
The best thing about Sungevity is that they make it easy for you. All that you have to do is to say yes.
As a consequence of the big push for green energy, wind farms were rising around the nation, including near my home in northern Michigan.
We've done coal and nuclear for years. We've been trying to get in more into the renewable side. These are the largest in Michigan. I think it's 482 foot total.
How many yards of concrete?
There's 800 yards of concrete in the base, right around 140 tons of re-steel.
What are those blades made out of?
That's all fiberglass and balsam. They're about 36,000 pounds apiece. This tower will weigh 800,000 pounds when we're done. Then the cell is 220,000 pounds, and the hub and rotor assembly is another 160. It's pretty substantial.
They were impressive machines. But is it possible for machines made by industrial civilization to save us from industrial civilization? In environmental leader Bill McKibben's home state of Vermont, the Green Mountain State, a site was being cleared for the installation of wind turbines. A group of citizens was concerned about how the construction might affect the mountains they love. I joined them for a tour.
It's going to be 21 turbines.
21.
Yeah.
On this
project. Yeah. The estimate was maybe there would be 3 full-time jobs.
If the goal is to try to make Vermont the leader in climate change, I appreciate looking to the sky in the hopes that we can do that. But more importantly, I'm personally looking at the ground thinking this is not the kind of legacy I'd want to leave to my kids. When I was a kid, we'd go hiking in these woods. We would be able to drink from the waters down the hill here, and now you have to question that. And how long are these towers supposed to last?
20-something years. 20
I know. It's
just,
oh, wait a minute. You're kidding me.
It's a nanosecond.
20 years?
Oh, it's a nanosecond in the time of energy.
Does anybody consider that this is mountaintop removal for wind instead of coal?
Yeah, and we've even had people say if you can do mountaintop removal in Kentucky and West Virginia for coal, then it's about time that the rest of the country shared in the mountaintop removal too.
Hello. I think they're going to tell us to move in.
The thing is you've got to have a fossil fuel power plant backing it up and idling 100% of the time. Because if you cycle up or cycle down as the demand on the wind comes through, then you actually generate a bigger carbon footprint than if you just ran it straight.
Do you ever go to things where they just go, well, that's not true, it doesn't matter, we're going to have the smart grid?
It doesn't make any difference. You still got to have it idling, because let's just say the wind stopped right now. Just stopped for an hour. You've got to have that power.
What do you do?
I'm a environmental health and safety consultant. I usually work with businesses to help them do things, but I would never work with scum like this.
You didn't get me on camera doing this, did you? Not being judgmental or trying to play God, but we've got to deal with population growth and sustainable resources. We've all got to cut back. All this energy is supposedly going to heat a water park. We can find unique and different ways to waste energy. This is not a Vermont company. I mean, Green Mountain Power will be bought out by Gas Metro, and Gas Metro is owned by Enbridge, as I understand it, which is a big company, resource company in Canada, which is exploiting the tar sands, that wants to build the XL pipeline. See, it's still we don't know the whole story.
Have you asked Mr. McKibben to come see this?
He thinks anything renewable is good.
Yeah.
So that's what I've heard people say.
This is... I decided to take him up on his offer to check out their football field-sized solar array right down the street.
What we're trying to do with this kind of a tour is get a sense for what they've already done as an indication of what we could do to push the envelope even further.
We took a hard look at wind and determined that, around here there's not any real good wind coming through all the time. That's what we liked about solar. You would get the power when you most needed it. You pass these around, look at them. They are pliable. Made in Michigan, that was another good thing. Although the efficiency of these panels is only about just under 8%. If you happen to be NASA and you happen to own a rover running around Mars, they have very efficient panels. But we can't afford those at about $1 million a square inch.
How many homes would this array provide electricity for?
The standard answer that we tell everybody is we're providing enough to meet the peak requirements of 50 homes. However, for most of the people that look at it a little bit closer, we generate about 64,000 kilowatt hours a year. Our average customer uses about 6,000 kilowatt hours a year. 6,000 into 64 is just a little over 10. We can meet the energy requirements for 10 homes over a year.
Will that be an incentive to put more solar on?
Well, if you wanted to make all of the energy required for the city of Lansing over a year,
well, how about
you'd have a solar array that was 3 miles by 5 miles.
Right, but
we're not going to do that.
But I mean, what would?
My friend from the Sierra Club wanted him to be more positive, but he was not interested. Ozzie Zenner, a visiting scholar at UC Berkeley and Northwestern University, was asking some of the same questions.
I mean, I thought that solar and wind were probably very good solutions. I mean, it wasn't really even that long ago. One of the most dangerous things right now is the illusion that alternative technologies like wind and solar are somehow different from fossil fuels. Well, I hear a lot of the times that solar cells are made out of sand.
Have you ever thought about solar panels? The main ingredient that makes them work is silicon or sand.
This is the raw material chips are made of, sand.
They don't use sand at all. So they use, I'll show you what they So this is one of the ingredients. It's actually mined quartz.
Spruce Pine, North Carolina, regarded as the finest source of high-purity quartz in the world for semiconductor, solar, and communication applications.
But you can't use sand because sand has too many impurities. So you start with a very high-quality quartz and a very high-quality coal. And then you put those two together into an arc furnace and you melt them.
The quartz is then melted with coal in a large furnace at temperatures of up to 1,800 degrees.
So you need more coal to do that. So I'll get another coal out. So when we melt these together, we get silicon metal and carbon dioxide. And the carbon dioxide just goes off and you got rid of the carbon, you're left with silicon metal. This is not clean coal.
Not clean coal. Ozzie Zenner said it was an illusion that renewables were replacing coal or any fossil fuel. Like, where do solar panels come from?
Well, you have to start with a mine.
The solar panels don't last forever either.
Some solar panels are built to last only 10 years, so that it's not as if you get this just magic free energy, right? I don't know that it's the solution, and here I am helping to sell in materials that would go into photovoltaics.
That you see there are built by the Koch brothers, Guardian Glass Industry, a company that they control. Koch Carbon creates a lot of the inputs that are used to create the cement and the concrete and the steel. And not only that, they build the plants that builds polysilicon for solar cells. They actually their own solar line called Solar Molex. From every step of the process, the Koch brothers are there.
But they're the evil doers.
Yeah, the funny part is that when you criticize solar plants like this, you're accused of working for the Koch brothers. That's the idiocy in all of this.
I need to thank Building Energy, which provided so much solar power to this that we powered the entire event with solar energy.
But when I went backstage to see what was really going on.
You ain't running this whole thing on that, Jack. I can tell you that. The toaster is 1,200 watts. So that run right there could run a toaster.
I found the installer.
Hi.
Are they running the festival on these solar panels?
The concert is run by diesel generation system. They didn't ask us to energize the concert.
Oh, okay.
It's being played? I mean...
Well, we're basically just being fed a lie. For instance, you'll hear about Germany running on wind and solar.
35% right now.
50% of their power. There were days this past summer when the Germans were generating 80% of their power from the sun.
But Germany is still Europe's largest consumer of coal.
Aber wenn in dieser Region die meiste Kohle gefördert wird, dann ist ja auch hier der größte CO2-Ausstoß.
Only a small fraction of their energy actually comes from wind and solar. In fact, Germany just built a large terminal to import natural gas from the United States. Renewable.
We never stop thinking about what's best for the planet. We now run Apple on 100% renewable energy. All of our facilities worldwide.
And they did chop down a forest to put up solar panels near their North Carolina plant. But they didn't disconnect from the grid, and they can't.
Duke says energy-hungry companies like Apple can never go entirely off the grid.
They're still hooked up to our grid.
Despite all of the claims, I haven't found a single entity anywhere in the world that's running on 100% solar and wind alone.
How is 350.org funded?
Well, not very well.
Who are your funders?
Sure. To the degree that we have any money at all, it's come from a few foundations in Europe and the U.S. Let's see. I'm trying to think who the biggest funders are. There's a foundation based in Sweden called, I think it's called the Rasmussen Foundation, that I think has been the biggest funder.
So you don't get money from Pew or Rockefeller or any of those big...
No, we did. Rockefeller Brothers Fund gave us some money right when we were starting out. That's been useful too.
But they no longer fund you?
I don't know. I don't have a sort of
really
funder sitting in front of me.
That's usually something that people know.
Rockefeller's been one of our is a great ally in this fight.
You just sold your TV network to Al Jazeera,
right?
And that government is basically nothing but an oil producer.
Gas mainly and oil.
Your take on that, about $100 million pre-tax from a country that bases its wealth on fossil fuels. Isn't there a bit of hypocrisy in that?
Well, I get the criticism. I just disagree with it. I'm proud of the transaction.
You couldn't find for your business a more sustainable choice.
What is not sustainable about it?
Because it is backed by fossil fuel money.
I get it. I get it.
And so, if you got yourself an environmental movement and environmental leaders, why not buy the holy day itself?
Happy Earth Day! Now we are facing the greatest sets of issues that we've seen in my lifetime. It's time now for a new generation to jump up on the stage and create a habitable country, a habitable planet that we can all enjoy. Are you that generation?
I'd also like to thank our incredible corporate sponsors who've been behind the movement to end extreme poverty and tackle climate change since the very beginning. We want to thank Toyota, Citibank. We want to thank Caterpillar.
We're standing at the construction site of the Dakota Access Pipeline. It looks like there are at least 3 bulldozers actually bulldozing the land. People have gone through the fence. The bulldozers are still going. And they're marching over the dirt mounds.
Without these partners, it wouldn't be possible. Let's give them a round of applause, everyone.